Hey loser, how you doing?
Hello, how's it going?
I'm tired. Like I don't even have another word for it. Like at this point, I'm tired. And you?
Same. I'm also tired. I don't
I
know
feel
why though.
I feel like we've had a busy week, but we haven't been busy. Does
Yes,
that make sense?
yes, I've just been sitting at home being unemployed. It's very hard to do nothing.
You know how exhausting it is to sleep 10 hours, Kristen?
10, 10, who is sleeping 10 hours?
I don't know, but like I really want to be that person. Like I am. Oh my gosh. Can I just say, I feel like you don't have a job, you're stressing. You really need a job. Then you get a job. And I think we've had this conversation before. Then you get a job and then you feel guilty for complaining about the job you were stressing to get. But now that you have the job, it's like you're not all that. Like you're mentally and physically and emotionally abusive. This is an abusive relationship. That is what that is what being employed is, an abusive relationship.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
Just trust me, you're gonna get in. I know. I can feel it in my bones that you're gonna get into the industry, and when you're in, we're gonna have this very same conversation.
We'll see. Maybe I get a good job.
Maybe, not maybe, prate.
I'll
You're
get a
gonna
good
get a good
job.
job. Telling you, and if you own like a 10, 20, 50 million rand company and you're listening, Kristen's your person. Get
Yes.
it now. Hey guys, welcome back to New Money Rookies, a weekly podcast that takes a look into the running of a small business co-owned by friends, how they balance their friendship and their partnership, and most importantly, just the behind the scenes running of the actual business. We know from experience that finding information, finding people who are in the same industry, and just being able to access all those behind the scenes things can be so difficult, and that's why we're here for you. We are your one way tool to putting boundaries in this friendship, but
Partnership.
partnership. Hello guys, my name is Nabi Samsizi. I am the co-owner of the H Word, and joining me again, guys, like she's back. I'm very surprised. Like she's been very consistent. For episode 2, Kristen Hill is back. Kristen, prove you're here.
Hello, it's Kristen, this book.
I feel like that needs to be your hashtag. It's like
This
the
book.
girl who says "Hey loser" and the spook. That's how they balance each other. Okay, guys. Once again, make sure you follow or subscribe us wherever you're listening from, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. I think Kristen has got us everywhere.
Not yet, but we will be. There are so many more places we can be.
Do you hear the psycho that I work with, guys? Do you hear uncapped potential? She says. Make sure you follow, subscribe. If there's a notification bell on YouTube, click on that. If you're not sure where to go, check the description of the podcast or the video that you're currently watching. Kristen will have everything placed there for you. Welcome, guys, to episode 2. Okay, Kristen, what are we doing? What are we talking about in episode 2?
In today's episode, we are discussing the startup phase. We'll be discussing research, so that will be your market research for your product. That means your competitors, whether there is a place for your product, even if it is the same as other products that exist on the market currently. Um, whether people would buy your product, all those things. We'll also be discussing the documentation that you need, CIPC, your SARS as well as your bank registration, which account to choose, which bank to choose,
Mm,
all of
take
the
me
good
back.
things.
Take me back to Struggle City. I think we always talk about how the H Word's birthday is July 2020, but we didn't officially register the business until October.
Yep.
So, like, it took us a good August, September, October, 3 months. I took out. It took us a solid 3 months to do what Christy said, research and figure out. So, number one, we had to figure out what documents did we need? So we needed to get our company registered. And only once we were registered, we could have a bank account. Then we could only have SARS and all these other things put in place. And I remember I was like, Christy, I have no idea how to do this. And Kristen was like, same boat. And we had done so much research that I feel like I felt intimidated. Is that the word? And overwhelmed by the process. So
Yeah.
I approached a bookkeeper. Financially, it wasn't the smartest thing to do because we had limited finances. But to be safe, to make sure we got it right and done perfectly, we decided, okay, bookkeeper it is. And we paid 1,000 rand, I think.
Was it 1,000 rand?
500 rand?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. It was between 500 and 1,000 rand that we paid. And they did the entire process for us. They were just emailing us, sign this, sign that, prep this, prep that. And then within about a 1 to 2 week period, we had share certificates, CIPC documents, we had SARS, and we were compliant on SARS. Then we got like a very nice 10-15 minute session where the bookkeeper kind of explained to us, make sure you don't get VAT registered, because that is something that companies that earn over 50 million a year, not 50 million, 5 million or a million over a year, sorry. So that would kind of kick you guys in the arse, especially as a small business. So we kind of got a bit extra, and that kind of explained some of the things that we saw on the websites. So that was kind of the legal documents we got. And once we had those documents, it was a matter of me now rushing to open up a bank account. But I remember, Christy, I think we were stuck between Standard Bank and FNB.
Yes.
Yes, for the longest time we were stuck between Standard Bank and FNB, and that was just because Standard Bank had the cheapest service rates, but then, and actually everything around it, Standard Bank should have been the bank we opened up with, but because we had this partnership conditions where Kristen is based all the way in Pretoria, I am based at the time all the way in a small town in Mossel Bay, the nearest bank that could offer business for us was FNB. The nearest bank that would allow Kristen to operate our account without me around was FNB. Like FNB was more than comfortable to allow me to start the process in Mossel Bay, and then they would courier everything to Pretoria or email it. I can't remember what they did, Christy.
Oh, they couriered everything, yes.
Yes. And then Kristen signed everything off, and then they couriered Christy her own card. I got my own card. I got my own pin. I don't remember my pin. Kristen remembers. And so, but the process to even getting there, guys, just think we started this business in July and our documentation only started existing in October. So that was 3 months of not only researching all the legal aspects, the financial aspects, and the paperwork, but researching the market. And I think Kristen would better explain the market.
That's me.
That's you. Spook.
So the market phase was basically where you, for us, having a physical product and not a service or something like that, we just had to go outside into the world and go and see what the prices were like, what the quality was like, things like that. And because we started in the pandemic, most of this was online for me. Like when we went out like once every 2 months, then that was the time I would go everywhere and just like touch things, although you weren't technically supposed to do that back then.
Naughty.
Take down the prices and so forth. Online, we would do competitor research, other small businesses that are also selling the same thing. It's important to look at your competitors across the board, big and small, but to also especially take note of the competitors within your niche. So for us, it was small businesses who were selling certain items. And then it was other things like getting the right material, finding suppliers, going absolutely everywhere, getting samples. And then we ran into a hiccup like 1 year in, but we'll talk about that at a later episode.
Yes, we have an episode, guys, just for supplier, vendors, and samples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, for other things in the market, it was what would our prices be? Um, what would we be paying our seamstress for
Mhm.
first? We would be buying the material, and then we would also be paying her for a labor per item, and that would all affect our end price, including the packaging. What are we packaging our items in? How are we getting it to the customers?
Mhm.
How are we marketing our product? What do
It
we
was
say? What do we say to get people to buy it?
that was a lot actually. I can see now why it was 3 months. Now that you detail everything we did, I'm like, yep, I can see why it was 3 months. Luckily for us, I think being in the pandemic helped because like we both had a bit more time. And also, guys, just so you don't feel overwhelmed by everything that Chrissy said, you know how we do. If you go onto our website, www.thehra.co.za, we have little snippets or little documents for you guys to download. If you guys check the description of any of the audios that we've uploaded, you will see that we also have little sneak things that you can click on and links that you can go to. We will always keep you plugged in. Do not stress. Otherwise, listen to the episode again. But on the real though, I think something that we need to stress, especially if you guys are friends who are now in this partnership of research, do not make the mistake of comparing who's doing more research than who.
Hmm.
Who's like, oh my gosh, Kristen's spending so much time researching, so I should be. If Kristen and I had gotten into a whole competition from the beginning, or like this, what are you doing, what am I doing thing, it would have been, I think it would have delayed the process. It would have been a nightmare. And I think this is where friendship versus partnership comes in. Our friendship had to take a back seat for those months. I think we were predominantly just talking about work for those 3 months. And then like once in a while, Kristen would like remind me we're friends on the side. Like,
Jeez.
like, hey, let's do a video call as friends. Um, on the real though, Kristen was very much in terms of the market related things like KPIs and competitors and all those things. Kristen was heavily researching those things. I feel like till this day, you're better knowledgeable or more knowledgeable than me in those items. Whereas to I spent way more time trying to understand how the business was going to run financially.
Yeah.
I think I spent way more time like I need to research what break even is. What do you mean that's a break even? What do you mean we have fees to pay and those fees have to be paid? What are overheads? So my head went into let me understand how the financial runnings of the business work during my research phase, and then Kristen took care of marketing, social media, websites. I can't even begin. Like Kristen, I think you were the first one to look into actual materials
Oh yeah.
before I actually started looking into materials. So, guys, definitely you can already tell just from the researching phase, we could tell that we were clicking because we didn't have to allocate duties, did we? We didn't. Like,
I
we
don't
just
think
kind
we
of,
did.
no, we didn't. We awkwardly just kind of knew Kristen's going to research this and then Bisa's going to research this. But if you guys are not like us, definitely take the time to jot down, research A, B, and C, and then I'll research this, and then share the information. And then if you don't understand the information, research more. But you would be wasting time if the both of you are going to research the exact same thing over and over again.
I would also like to say that it's a good idea to inform each other about your research at every step so that the other one knows exactly what's going on. It doesn't have to be oh, this is my thing. Even though you may be taking care of that part,
Mm.
it's a good idea to educate each other. I think you did this really well with the finances because we both know my mark for maths and matrics.
Kristen, can I just share something quickly? I saw on Twitter somebody highlighted the first four rows of the Casio calculator, and
Yeah.
they said the most useless buttons in history. And so you know the comment section, Matt's lit, Matt's lit. Everyone's like, you can just tell who did Matt's lit. I was dying of laughter. I was like, Twitter, not Twitter. It's what do you call it now? It's X.
X or something, but it's
Yeah,
Twitter. It's Twitter.
yeah, Twitter. Twitter is not for for the sensitive, for the light. No,
No.
like they, even a celebrity joined in. I was like, this country can't take anybody anywhere.
South Africa.
But nonetheless, guys, if you guys have any questions at all, make sure you guys drop those questions in any of the comment sections. I'm not saying we're gonna have it, but you never know. We might have an episode that's just dedicated to explaining all the little things that slipped through the loopholes that you guys might have picked up on. But that is about it from my side that I want to explain in terms of the financial aspect. In terms of marketing, I think if you guys listened to episode 1 and went into the description of episode 1, you would have seen the documents that Kristen put up there. Those definitely help, especially when you're splitting up your research. Forget putting your own information, just splitting the research. I remember, Kristen, you showed that to me in the beginning of our kind of journey, but a similar thing, but not exactly like that. And then I kind of was splitting the information. I was like, hey, this is for marketing us, this is for the business. Because if you don't split it, I think you get like, you drown in too much information.
Agree. I would also like to say that I think this episode needs to be a two-part. I think we gotta go. We're going to end it off here, and then part 2 will be up next week. Pizza, anything to say?
No, let's continue this conversation next week. See you guys. See you, loser.
Tot ziens.
Bye.